Here we have this function and we want to differentiate it, so we're gonna use the product rule. Since we have two multiplied function, we'll assign the first function to f and the second function to g. So f of x gonna be x cubed and g gonna be e to the x, and we want to take the derivative of each function. Now since we have now everything we need, we are ready to plug these functions into the product rule. So first term gonna f prime multiplied by g, and then second term is f multiplied by g prime. Now we have similar terms, so we can factor e to the x if we want to. So here I'm gonna factor e to the x, so it's gonna be e to the x 3x plus x cubed, and that's the derivative. Now we have this function x cubed over e to the x. To differentiate this term, we're gonna use the quotient rule. Since this is a function divided by another function, I will assign the top function to f and the bottom function to g of x. So I'm gonna take the derivative now of both functions. And now after this, we are ready to use the quotient rule. Gonna be f prime by g and then minus f multiplied by g prime over g squared. First term gonna take f prime multiplied by g and then subtract f multiplied by g prime, then all over g squared. Now what I'm going to do is just gonna write that at 3x squared ex, and then gonna be ex, and I forgot remember ex all square is the same written as e to the 2x. Now I'm just gonna add x cubed. Here this function we have sine 3x, and we want to differentiate this. We're gonna use the chain rule to differentiate this function. The outside function is sine and the inside function is 3x. So using the chain rule, first we will take the derivative of the outside and multiply it by the derivative of the inside. So derivative of the outside is cosine 3x, and then derivative of the inside is 3. Again, I'm gonna write it, gonna be 3 cosine 3x. Now we have this function, we have this complicated function. We want to differentiate it. So first we will use the quotient rule. So the top one gonna be the f function and the bottom gonna be g. And then I'm just writing what's the f function, and then I'm gonna write what's the g function. So again, the g function gonna be g equal to sine of x. Now what we notice here on the first function f, to differentiate this term, what we're gonna use two rules. We're gonna use the product rule, and then we're gonna use the chain rule to differentiate the e term. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna assign u to x squared. I'm gonna assign v to the second function, which is e to the sine squared over 3x. Now I'm gonna take the derivative of each function. This is using the power rule. Here what I'm gonna do is use the chain rule. So I'm gonna take the derivative of the outside function, which is e, and then the derivative of the inside. So I'm gonna apply the chain rule here, the derivative of the inside sine. I'm gonna use the power rule. That's gonna be 2 sine of 3x and then the power of 1. and then I'm going to take the derivative of the inside, that's going to be sine, so the derivative going to be cosine, and then I'm going to take the derivative of the inside, which is 3x, the derivative going to be 3. I'm going to bring 3 to the front, multiply by 2, which is equal to 6. I'm just writing this term again. Now we have v prime. So now we have u prime and v prime. What does that mean? Now we are ready to use the product rule to find f prime. This is the product rule. So I'm gonna take u prime, which is 2x, multiplied by v, which is e to sine square of 3x. I'm going to take u, which is x squared, and multiplied by v prime, which is 6e to the sine square of 3x. That's going to be again 6e to the sine of square of 3x, multiplied by sine 3x, multiplied by cosine of 3x. This is the whole term for f prime. So now what we did is we found f prime. Now what I'm gonna do is find g prime. Remember, g is sine function, so the derivative gonna be just cosine of x. Now we have all what we need to use the quotient rule. So we go back and we use the quotient rule, which this is what the quotient rule says. So I'm gonna take f prime, which is this whole term here, but I'm not gonna write it. It's gonna be just inside the parentheses because it's too long for me to write. So I'm gonna just take it and multiply it by g, which is sine of x. I'm gonna take then f and then multiply it by g prime, which is cosine of x. And then remember, all over g squared, which is sine squared of x. That's our derivative here. So what we did here, we used the quotient rule first, and then we use the product rule to find f, and then to find v, we use the chain rule.